Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Well, from southern Savannah, Georgia,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast,
I'm Mark, sitting in for Frank.
and I'm Dan, sitting in for Dan. And here we are. This is a special show we got here right now.
Yeah, it's a very special blossom.
Coming up for you guys, we are broadcasting from Savannah, Georgia, for reasons we cannot discuss and will not discuss.
We will not.
But mostly it was just we had an excuse to meet up here in a beautiful part of this country of ours.
Yeah.
It was your fault.
That's right. This is all my doing, and we're still recovering from a Thanksgiving Bacchanal.
Yes, indeed.
And we hope you all survived your Thanksgiving Bacchanals.
I hope you gave thanks for the. I'm guessing many of you had some lovely dinner conversations that occurred around the table with your various and sundry Christian family members, or whatever tradition you may have escaped from.
Yeah, we got extremely lucky and had none of that at our. We had all very like-minded folk.
Yes,
around our table here in Savannah. So it was that. I'm grateful for that.
I know, thankful for it even.
Yeah, almost thankful.
Almost thankful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, coming up on today's show, we're in the South, so we decided we would talk about a Southern issue.
Yes,
we're going to talk about why we're slavery. We're going to discuss slavery. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Stick around, everybody. You're not going to want to miss that.
Yeah, it's going to be wonderful. Barrel of laughs.
Barrel o laughs. Or barrel o... Yeah, never mind. I was going to say something horrible. Slaves.
Barrel of people.
Barrel of people. What do you got? We've got stories before we do that. So why don't you give us one of those?
Yeah, well, in the lead up to whatever is going to come after January 20th that no one can possibly predict, our president-elect has made some choices. Or is making some choices for what has been explained to him is his cabinet.
Yes. He now is made to understand that he has a lot of hiring to do.
Yeah, I don't think he understood that that's how it worked, but whatever. We're all learning together. So he has made a pick for his Secretary of Education.
Yeah.
A lady person by the name of Betsy DeVos.
Oh, is he allowed to hire women? Wasn't he campaigning on the He-Man woman hater ticket?
He was going to build a wall around women. He was going to make a blanket for it in the White House, and no girls could come in. So yeah, he's picked this lady who has a long history of, I guess for lack of a better word, advocacy in the education field.
Oh, good.
She is a major advocate for a topic I'm sure a lot of our listeners are familiar with, school vouchers.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, which means that people can pull money out of the public system to send their special little snowflakes to whatever private school they like.
Which almost invariably ends up being Christian schools.
Yes. Let's just say it's always the case.
The reason for the vouchers is so that people can get Jesus into their kids on a much more regular basis.
And do it with taxpayer funds.
Right.
Yeah. So she's a big advocate of that. She's also a pretty hardcore Christian, grew up in a strict Calvinist Christian Reformed church.
Jesus, Calvinism. That's some fun stuff right there.
Yeah, the Mormons look at that and go, dude,
chill out, you
lighten
guys.
up.
You guys.
Have some fun. And she's married to the heir of the Amway fortune. Mm-hmm. And if you know anything about Amway, it is the grandpappy of all mid-level marketing schemes.
Yes.
Much beloved in our home state of Utah.
Indeed.
And it also has a very Christian bent.
Yeah.
So anyway, her husband also is a education advocate, an activist, and has been...
Can we just call this what it is? A lack of education advocate.
Yes.
A miseducation
advocate. So, and in his advocacy for miseducation, he has insisted, he ran for the governor of Michigan.
Yes.
Luckily did not win.
Oh.
But he was pushing intelligent design to be taught in the schools.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so this will be very likely, because nobody's going to stop this from happening, I don't think. This would very likely be, pardon me, our next Secretary of Education.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, this is one of those things where, you've got a person who, now what I read, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, this being your story, the onus is on you to be correct on this one, not me.
All right, I'm ready to fact check.
But she has no education background at all. Am I right? She's never taught. She's never, like she has exactly zero education in education.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't read quite deeply enough about her because I'm still feeling like throwing up every time I look at the internet.
Right, exactly.
I'm still not there.
I'm pretty sure that's what I read. That she basically had nothing in her background that's anything about education other than wanting people to have Jesus in it.
Other than pushing vouchers, that's her qualification.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
In the same way that John McCain said Sarah Palin was the country's leading expert on energy when they were running.
In fairness, she's pretty energetic.
She is pretty energetic.
She's lively,
and I think she can see a Texaco from her house.
So there you go.
Yeah, what you got?
She knows what she needs to know. An interesting study out of Canada has explained finally, at least possibly explained finally, a phenomenon that people have had trouble understanding, which is why some churches, many churches currently, especially in the developed world, we'll call it, which is
developed like what we call the first world.
Yes, indeed.
Our colonial patron sort of way.
The important countries,
Yeah.
But churches, most churches seem to be declining in number and in power.
Yeah,
but there are certain churches that are actually growing, that are actually doing quite well
in the developed world.
Yes.
Okay.
And so this study has been commissioned to figure out why that is, to sort of sort that out. So researchers from Wilfrid Laurier University, oh yeah, I pronounced that right. I got you, my Ontario people. I got you. And Redeemer University, also in Ontario, have
I don't like the sound of that.
Done a study of this. Oh well.
Yeah,
they don't like the sound of it either, because they're the ones who are scratching their heads wondering why are we losing all of our people. So apparently the deal is that the ones that are doing really well, the ones that are dropping are the ones that, like the rest of society, have progressed and have decided that assholism isn't good. So
they're bucking the trend.
So the ones like mainline Protestantism, largely Anglicanism, Presbyterianism, Lutheranism, all of that sort of thing. A lot of them have started to be almost downright kind to the gay folk.
Yeah,
at least in their talk.
Yeah, it's troubling.
It is troubling.
It's troubling.
Whatever. The thing that seems to be the unifying factor for the growing churches, the growing Christian churches in our country and beyond, is strictly held conservative beliefs. The assholisher they are, the better in terms of how they want to grow. So yeah, growing 71% of pastors at growing churches said they read their Bibles daily, compared with 19% of pastors at declining churches. 93% of growing church pastors said they agreed with the statement, Jesus rose from the dead with a real flesh and blood body, leaving behind an empty tomb. So it's like if you have to take it literally.
Yeah.
If you want to work, if you want to grow, if you want people to believe in you, you gotta cater to the people who really want it all to be just literally true.
Yeah. You need to be a dick.
You need to hate the gays.
Yep. And you need to believe in crazy magic beans.
Right, exactly. As much hate as you can summon up, and as much magic as you can.
And are they growing a lot?
No, not by huge amounts. I mean, these are increasingly smaller. increasingly smaller congregations. So I mean, it's not like these are the big mainstream ones, right? These are the sort of fringy ones. But the fringe is all that's growing right now.
Yeah, you may notice a trend these days in an ascent of assholishness and crazy talk.
Yeah.
And I get it. I mean, I don't get it, but I see why. If you're a true believer, you may flee your feel-good, make nice, hey, let's not be a dick to Muslims congregation.
Right.
And go down the street to, dance with snakes.
Right.
And roll around on the floor.
It seems to be what they're into. It seems to be the because them educated types, those elites out there.
Yeah.
They kind of see the writing on the wall and they're like, "Oh, you know what? This isn't really making sense to me."
Yeah.
Or, everyone who claims, 90% of Catholics are
culturally Catholic.
Culturally Catholic. They're Easter Christmas Catholics. Yeah. And so yeah, they definitely are taking their birth control every night and whatever. But
right. And they're coveting their neighbor's property and all sorts of things, and their neighbor's ass, and their neighbor's wife, and their neighbor's wife's ass.
I'll be honest with you. My neighbor has a great ass.
Really?
No, not at all.
No, that's too bad. I was hopeful for your coveting there.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Well, I think there's this retreat from facts kind of societally going on.
Yeah.
And it's pretty fucking shocking. I mean, the last story we just did about DeVos and her being the person in charge of how we learn and pass on facts to the youngins.
Right.
Fits
that narrative pretty darn well.
Very nicely.
Oh, gross. All right. Let's move on.
All right. Well, if you thought that was gross. There was a terrible accident recently.
Oh, no.
Yeah, where in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where a school bus was lost control of.
Oh, dear.
For reasons that they're not quite sure of, and it had a really awful accident. The picture on the news is just unbelievable. It's like completely bisected by a tree.
Oh, yikes.
So five young kids were killed, 12 are in the hospital. A horrible disaster. Well, the mother of the driver, who has been taken into custody, not the mother, but the driver, knows what happened.
The mother knows what happened.
The mother knows what happened, so I don't think there needs to be any further investigation.
Oh, okay. What happened?
Well, it was God's will.
Oh!
Yes, it was God's will that her 24-year-old son would deliver 5 children into the hands of the Lord.
Oh, Jesus.
Recklessly speeding down a street.
Well,
he was wet.
He was clearly T-boned by that tree, so obviously it can't be his fault.
Yeah. So it's amazing. It's always...
Nobody ever asks how fast the tree was going.
Well, if indeed the inquiry continues, I don't see that there needs to be any now that we know the cause.
Now that we actually know.
But if indeed the inquiry continues, then I think we'll find out just how fast that sycamore was going. But
I feel like the God's will argument less than useful when you consider that she probably believes that everything is God's will.
Yeah. So what's the point of even having a conversation?
Right.
Or trying to do anything?
Right. I mean, I guess her argument would be don't lock anyone up because it's all God's will.
Or lock everyone up? I don't know.
Right.
God will decide. Just sit at home and wait for a decision to be made on your behalf. But it's amazing that the burdens God is, capable of shouldering for you in just your moment of need. So, to be fair, I'm sure she's probably in shock as well, but
yeah,
it's still
I mean, it's not a happy moment when your son kills children.
It can't be.
That's not good.
You and I don't have children, so we'll never know those joys.
No. Thank God.
Yeah, so that's the mysterious ways at work here. So that's nice. That was a nice holiday story.
Well, there may be good news for her and for her son.
Oh,
this is coming out of the British Columbia area.
Oh yeah, I'm very familiar with the British Columbia.
Yes, you spent several months there recently.
I did. It's wonderful. I love it. Love it.
Yeah. So up in BC, And don't get that confused with BCA. Usually that just means that they're saying it's BC, eh? I don't know.
So cheap.
Little Canadian humor for you there.
See, it's okay when we say it.
It is.
It's our word.
That's true.
It's okay.
You and I are half Canadian.
That's right.
So we can. I speak the language fairly fluently.
Which half are you?
It's
The upper?
It's the kind half.
Yeah, fortunately, my lower half is Canadian.
I think that's good. Those legs you can't freeze those legs.
No.
Not those Canadian legs.
They're stout Canadian legs.
So in BC, a man was charged, unfortunately, with the crime of assaulting a child.
That's very un-Canadian.
Well, yes, they do frown on that there.
Yeah.
And he's clearly had some trouble because in his process of being charged with this, he has had many lawyers whom he has fired. So he's been sort of going through lawyers like a souse goes through liquor. And he said,
why were you looking at me when you said that? Was that a coded? I get it. Okay.
Cool it. Cool it.
Ease up.
He came into the BC Supreme Court Justice Miriam Gropper and said that he had discharged his current lawyer. The judge said that it was a serious matter and his liberty was at stake and urged him to get another lawyer, for his own good.
Yeah.
That's healthy.
Yeah.
He said, what he said, "It's my right to defend myself in this courtroom. You cannot take that right away from me. It's my right by law." To which the judge replied, "What happens between you and your current lawyer, your former lawyer, whatever, is a matter between you and your lawyer. And whether you have 3 lawyers or 8 lawyers or 15 lawyers, that doesn't matter to me. I don't want to know what occurred between you and your lawyers because that's private. It's privileged." And then the judge again pressed him to get a new lawyer, to which he said, "I have a lawyer. His name is Jesus Christ, and he's representing me in this courtroom today, and he's going to speak truly today and going to address this court today, providing you give me that opportunity."
Oh, wow.
So, you want to talk about...
You want to talk about billable hours? Like, what is that? That's amazing.
Now, Judge, I may just be a country lawyer from Palestine, but
I am an itinerant rabbi and nothing more than that.
But what I say...
So, did he show up?
Apparently not.
Oh, fuck you.
Apparently, but this fella, Lesser is his name. Alan Lesser. He's the lesser of two evils. He said... He said Jesus. He was told that his conviction stands. He was asking for a new trial because he didn't think he got a fair trial. And the judge said the conviction stands. If you want to appeal that, you can. And he said Jesus Christ is my Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, has forgiven me and pardoned me and found me not guilty. So. Apparently, he isn't guilty.
He's lawyer, judge, and jury.
You're right.
He's Jesus Christ.
Right. Well, it's Jesus.
Wow.
Let's
so
be honest.
Did he walk? Did he get to go?
No.
And by the way, if this was assaulting a child and he's saying Jesus Christ, I imagine it's a kind of bad touching swimsuit area assault.
I don't have the details on that. I'll be perfectly honest.
Is he a clergyman? Is he a preacher man?
No, just a dude. But I think that this, I'll be interested to see how this whole trial shakes out because clearly, that's a good legal argument. Jesus is with me.
Yeah, well,
Jesus says I'm fine.
You always want a strong Jewish litigator, right?
That's what you want. You want a good Jew in your corner.
Good, exactly. So, I have a fun story.
Yeah, do you?
Speaking of people who seek forgiveness for crimes and then decide they got it.
Oh, okay, good.
That should count for something,
right?
In the world.
Yeah.
Rwandan bishops apologize for role in 1994 genocide.
Oh. Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
An apology.
Which let's take what small miracles we can.
Yeah.
The Catholic Church saying sorry for anything
Yeah, that's kind of amazing.
is kind of banner news. So that's pretty astonishing. And it was a pretty bad thing.
What role did they play?
They helped whip up the crazy anti. Oh gosh, I'm so rusty at this one. Was it the Tutsis?
The Hutus and the Tutsis.
Yeah.
But I don't remember who was on what side.
Well, and this goes into a little bit of our story we'll talk about later. But that it's a complete construct of the colonialism.
Oh, sure.
There kind of aren't naturally Tutsis and Hutus. It was a division created by the colonial.
Of course, it was
powers, and then it just became a thing.
the colonialists probably made up the names because they thought they sounded funny,
Or they were just the names of like local tribes that then became races somehow.
Guys, we're gonna call you guys the Tutsis because you're just so cute, and you guys, we're gonna call you the Hutus because that's just funny.
And it was Ed Wynn, who was the colonial power.
Oh my God,
Charlie in the box.
Oh, I think you're hilarious. You're Tutsis and Hutus.
So the Roman Catholic bishops in Rwanda have issued an apology for the role played by individual clergy, of course.
Oh yes, no, it certainly was not. It was
Yeah.
not an organized church thing. No.
In the 1994 genocide, in which nearly 1 million ethnic Tutsis and Hutus were killed.
Good
On
Lord.
Sunday, the apology was read aloud in all Catholic churches in the local Kinyarwanda dialect. It came at the end of Pope Francis's Jubilee Year of Mercy.
Oh.
That's nice. They decided to set aside a whole year for not being a complete fucking monster to people.
Yeah.
The quotation is, "We apologize for some church members and clergy people dedicated to serving God and Christians who played a role in the genocide."
Oh, that's so nice.
The church has been accused of having played a role in the killings. People, it was so horrible. People were so desperate that they fled to the churches to actually seek. What do you call it when you run into a church and seek a thing?
Asylum?
Asylum, yes.
Sanctuary!
Sanctuary, that's what they were looking for. And the clergy would turn them over to militias.
Yeah.
Where they would
Oh,
be,
that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on in. Go through this door.
Where they'd be macheted. So there's kind of a lot to the article, but this last quote is just amazing to me.
Yeah.
So this is Reverend Don Bosco Anyala, a priest of South Sudan and a lecturer at Tangaza University. He said, "The Catholic Church in Rwanda has taken seriously the just concluded Year of Mercy, looked into the past and done what is needed, repented and asked for forgiveness." So all
cool.
good, right?
Cool. We no need to get the Hague involved or
Nope, or for anybody to go to jail or anything like that. So
people don't need to look any further into this.
Yeah.
We've been absolved, and all is well. So
I like to think of him handing the collection plate to a congregant as he's saying,
right,
so,
right. Sorry.
Yeah. So
Give us your money, please.
magic forgiveness.
Yeah. Wow, that's great.
Yeah,
Love
that's
it.
Pretty fucking ugly, right?
You know what? I'm going to stick in Africa.
Okay.
Since we're there,
Yeah.
since we're in the continent,
Yeah.
why don't we go to Kenya?
Yeah.
Did you know that there are atheists in Kenya?
We probably shouldn't say anything about it.
Right, because they will be. No, they are out and open. There's a group called Atheists in Kenya.
Really?
And they're there. They're doing stuff, including trying to do some charity work. I say trying because they were prevented.
Oh,
This is amazing. They wanted to visit the Nest Children's Home, which is a place. It's a place that helps kids whose mothers are in prison.
Oh.
So
Well, it's a damn decent thing to do.
one would think
Yeah.
they need to be helped. So these guys were going to go and visit it. They were going to bring some food and some clothing, some stationery, various writing implements.
Okay. People love kids whose moms are in jail. Love nice paper.
They do love a good bit of stationery.
Yeah, a nice thank you note.
So they're going to do this. They were rejected. They were told no.
Really?
I'm afraid we won't allow that. So now they're writing. They've quoted Article 32, subsection 3 of the Kenyan Constitution, which states that a person may not be denied access to an institution, employment, or facility, or the enjoyment of any right because of the person's belief or religion. So they are trying to. So apparently that is a constitutional thing.
Well, they should. They'll be just fine then.
But it seems to be. It seems to have been a government decision not to let them go in.
Yeah.
The head of the program said that it wasn't. It wasn't she. I believe it's a woman. Yeah, she. It wasn't she that banned them. She received a call from the children's office in Kiambu and was directed not to allow them.
Just to give some shit, just to give some food and
yeah, to visit the kids. But they might catch the atheism if they're not careful. Like that, they're very concerned about infectious non-belief.
Kenya seems just a little bit bonkers these days, doesn't it? And kind of it's becoming kind of the Ugandan template for let's have a bunch of wackadoo American missionaries who can't get these fucking horrible things to happen at the rate they wanted to
right
in the States. Let's just go try it out in Africa because somebody somewhere has got to be made to suffer. Somebody
needs to hate as much as I do.
Yeah.
And I keep getting bullied for my hatred here.
Right.
So let's go somewhere where the hate is strong.
And by bullied, you mean people disagree with me.
People disagree with me.
Yeah.
And they're forceful about it. They don't accept my point of view as their worldview. It's very strange. Very, very rude.
So rude,
I think. So there you go. Hey, if you crazy kids have anything you'd like to say about any of these fine stories that we've told, you can write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com. You can also call into us and leave your voice on a voicemail. We sure do like it when you do that. That's area code 424-666-TGIA. That's 424-666-8442. I just got a new car, and there's 666 on my new license plate.
Whoa!
I'm very happy.
Is that all it is? Is it a vanity plate?
It's just 666. I don't know how that happened, but it just sort of meant no. There are letters too, but
yeah, you got a new ride.
Yeah,
nice.
It's the same as the old one.
Is it?
Not the same thing.
Switched it up.
Just switched it up. Also, you can go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and you can click. You can also find the TGIA Members Only Lounge, which is a private group on Facebook. And if you ask to join, we will vet you, and then we'll let you in. More to come. Well, we've got a little message. I've purposely kept this from you, Mark.
A message,
so that you can be free, so that you can be fresh as a daisy when you hear this. This is from our good friend Jim Baker, who I think, when I think about it, he's really just living up to his name by selling all that food
with 2 Ks though.
He needs a third one. I think you've pointed out. Yes,
let's call him Jim Baker.
Baker. He's definitely he's very concerned. He's got a concern for you and me, actually, in terms of where we live. And many Americans actually are in danger. So here's his warning.
I want you to see this. So, can you see that map? I probably shouldn't say this.
Look at that, everybody. Wow. Amazing.
I wrote it down.
I love it. County by county. Oh.
You see, that picture right there is just a testament that the media are a bunch of liars.
Right.
The red is the votes for Trump.
Right. Yeah.
The red county is the GOP.
Mm-hmm. The grand old party.
There they are. Now, that's where it is right now. They're still counting ballots.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make any difference.
Right.
Hillary's resigned. It's in
Conceded,
the
yeah.
bank. You know, it's done. You know.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: if you live in the blue, put it back on the screen. If you live in the blue, any spot that's blue,
Right.
I would say, "Oh God,
Oh, God.
help me,
Help California and Arizona.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
forgive me,"
Oh, forgive us. Lord.
because those are the ones who
God.
came against the will of God in this election.
Now you've got to understand,
And I just want to tell you, God has spoken to me. I've seen under the ground in Florida, in California especially,
in LA.
in LA. And God spoke to me that in Los Angeles alone, there's going to be such an earthquake come
Yes.
that literally the big buildings will be laying on their sides. All of LA is going to collapse, downtown LA. And that there's going to be, and I believe the West Coast is going to have, how many of those faults and earthquake zones do they have there in California? Anybody know?
My
you know,
goodness.
and what's interesting about that California, whenever you even see, and Sasha was the one that actually from California made this known to me, that if you look at California, the east side of California is red by county, and the west side is blue. And where do all the fault lines, where do all the prophetic words happen to plant themselves? It's on the far west of the West Coast. Now it's the blue. Now you gotta understand, it's not, judgment's not coming then because they voted for Hillary Clinton. It's because they voted for a platform. They voted for a platform that is so incredibly pro-abortion, anti-Bible.
Well, so how about that? Whew, California, anyone in that blue zone, you better start praying.
Yeah, well, maybe we should stay here in Savannah. What color was Savannah?
So I'm pretty sure all of Georgia's as red as a peach.
Well, all but one bright blue dot right in the kind of lower middle.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Yeah, we're definitely not there.
No, we're not there. We're in. It's amazing. You don't have to drive very far out of this town before you start seeing, and I mean like blocks,
right?
Before you start seeing Confederate flags.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's bad news, man.
Yeah, amazing though. Totally prophetic of Mr. Baker to be able to predict earthquakes in California. Amazing. How could he? Like, if there is one, we'll know he's legit because no one else could possibly have predicted that there would be.
And I also love the way that he's relying on his Bible to tell him where geologic faults are in the New World, because it wasn't science that taught us that.
No.
That clearly came out of, what was that? Was that in Romans?
I think it's Deuteronomy.
It is. That's right. It's deuterogeology.
Yes, exactly. Deuteronomy.
Wow, what a sad state of affairs. That it's not bad enough that Trump is actually the president-elect. Now your cities must be destroyed.
Yes, exactly. Because you voted for Hillary.
Yeah.
And no, sorry. You didn't vote for Hillary. You voted for a platform.
You voted for a platform.
I mean, I've heard Hillary called wooden before, but a platform? Come now.
A dais at most. Yeah. How it speaks to the sad state of their listeners and viewers.
Yeah.
Inability to keep track of this shit, because these guys are always predicting that everywhere there's a gay pride parade, there's an asteroid is going to hit, or a tornado is going to destroy central, Honolulu or something, and it never fucking happens.
Right. And of course, just so that our listeners know, if you're an international listener, you may not be aware, but anywhere that's a red state, anywhere that's a largely Republican populace, there are no abortions there. That doesn't happen ever.
Well, I mean, Dan's being flippant. They happen generally at a higher rate per capita than in blue states, and as do teen pregnancies, as do dirty bad uncle touches, and all the things, the whole spectrum of dysfunctional human sexuality and functional.
Yes, exactly. They're better at it.
They're more practiced. Tradition.
It's both tradition and a willful repression of healthy sexual urges.
Yes,
leading to an unwillful explosion of unhealthy sexual urges.
Dan and I are from Utah, so we know of what we speak in this particular context. Believe us.
I mean, like, not personally. I don't know.
No, I know I was looking at you when I said that.
Yeah.
But I was looking past you.
I know.
Out of memory.
I know as one who's read. Yes.
Yes.
It's when you repress your sexuality, then it will find its way out.
Truly.
Not in healthy ways. When you don't allow yourself the healthy ways of sexuality, the sexuality will still come out.
For a minor example of this issue, see the entire history of the Catholic Church.
Right, exactly. Yes.
Just give that a read.
Just as a small, sure. Just browse through that. Peruse.
Yeah.
If you will.
Or the front page of any major newspaper.
Right.
Any day of the week.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, Utah also, which went very, very red after a little thought that maybe it wouldn't.
Other than that little blue dot in the middle again.
Other than that little blue dot in the middle. Many states are the big Red Sea with the little blue dot. Also has a massive earthquake fault.
Yes,
so
indeed.
When Utah gets an earthquake, what's the explanation, Jim?
Yeah, exactly.
KK Baker.
My favorite children's playground in all of Salt Lake City is called Fault Line Park.
Yeah.
I just think that's like, you don't think twice about letting your kids play there?
You have favorite children's playgrounds?
Just because it's called Fault Line Park.
Something we need to talk about?
No. Let's not assume bad things. Let's assume good things about me, everybody. If we could all just do me a favor and assume that all things are good with Dan.
Let's
nice.
walk that walk for a little bit.
I just wanted to make mention of some stuff. I don't have the figures, unfortunately, for our donorship levels right now. But I can say that Frank and I, that's usually Frank's purview. But I can say that Frank and I are deliciously close to meeting our first goal, and that will mean video out on the internet of Frank and me, and then when you fill in, Mark,
occasionally
you and me, or you and Frank, out there, and as we are all devastatingly handsome gentlemen.
Oh my God!
I think this is something you want as our loyal, devoted followers. You may want that. Yeah. We definitely want it, and it would be super helpful for us if you guys would be willing to participate. So you can do that by becoming a patron on Patreon, and that the way you do that is you go to thankgodimatheist.com and you click on the Patreon button on that website, and then that'll take you there, and you can sign up to be a patron. We have some new patrons this week. I just don't have access to who they are. So just know that I love you, and you will be recognized next week. But we thank you so much. And if you know what, there are other ways that you can help. If you can't afford to be a patron, that's fine. But you could, for instance, go to your listening app of choice and rate us. Give us a nice 5-star rating on there. Only 5 stars. How dare you consider fewer?
Seems like there should be more stars anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Add some stars if you can.
Yeah, 7's good.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
52.
Whoa!
Go high.
52-star rating.
Yeah, reach for the stars, everybody. But yeah, we certainly appreciate that when that happens.
And I've had a peek at the newly appointed Thank God I'm Atheist studio.
We are already working on the video studio.
Yeah,
kids. It's unlike anything you'll see.
Yeah, no, you've never seen anything like this before. Aside from these two hunks of insanely hot man meat. Wait until you see the digs. It's beautiful.
Yeah, we're not trying to be. This is not your grandma's basement.
Nah.
Podcasting studio.
No,
we're doing it upright. Kids.
This isn't your spooky bunker podcast.
We're spending some money.
Yeah.
On this.
Yeah.
So anyway, we want you guys to have the best. It's nothing but the best for our listeners
who will soon be viewers.
Anyway, yeah, please go to thankgodimatheist.com and click on Patreon if you want to be a part of that. And then there are even better goals ahead, including world touring, where we come to you and then you can heckle us live, which that's fun.
Yeah, are you ready for that?
Oh, I'm itching for it.
Oh, okay, good.
In part because when I go to a new place and I get to meet listeners, it's like one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
I love you guys.
Yeah.
We're here. We may actually meet up with a listener here in Savannah.
Yeah, this afternoon, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thanks for all of that, and we'll be right back. So here we are, Mark.
Here we are in the beautiful, beautiful South.
In the South, we are sitting on the veranda sipping mint juleps.
That is so close to the truth you wouldn't even believe it.
Right.
We actually have a veranda, and I believe we are equipped.
Yeah, we'll julep it up. We might julep tonight.
So for those of you who are not familiar with Savannah, or the South generally, or Savannah particularly, this is a truly beautiful town and
historic,
very historic, and one of the only bits of the South that did not end in a pile of rubble in 1865. So
yeah.
Partly
General Sherman seems to have left a little bit of it standing.
He left a little bit standing. He got here and he found it so charming, and the war was all but over at that point. So apparently he gave it as a Christmas gift to President Lincoln, he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
So come check it out. It's a beautiful place. It's a strollable city.
Right. The Lincolns, I think, still own it. The Lincoln family.
They do.
Still owns.
That's why you see so many town cars around here.
Right.
So it's a really cool place that was founded in the 1730s.
Yeah, it goes back. I mean, for our continent, that's a long way back.
As far as white people go.
As far as white people,
Yeah.
the people who count.
Right, the people who.
I mean, we've seen what's happening at Standing Rock. Those people don't count.
Oh, Jesus
we don't
Christ.
care about them.
So it was founded in the 1730s by the British. Interestingly, it was a buffer that was meant to stop the expansion of Catholic Spain up from Florida. So it actually was. There was a very like all things at the time. There was a very religious point, geopolitical religious point to its foundation.
Yeah. Well, not just Spain, but also France was trying to make inroads here.
That's right.
And and Catholicism was not welcome.
No, it was not welcome. So, but Jews were.
Jews, yes.
Yes, the first Jews to the New World came later that same year. There were 40 Jews from Spain and Portugal that showed up, and General Oglethorpe granted them a piece of land for the first Jewish temple in the New World, which is about 5 blocks from here.
Yeah. But lest we get mired too deep in Savannah history,
yes,
what we decided we would talk about on today's show is one of the great abominations of this continent, which was and also the thing that made all of the beauty that surrounds you and I right now possible, which is the slave trade.
Yeah,
owning people.
Yeah,
was a thing for a good while here in the American South, and in other parts of America to a lesser degree. But boy, they just took to it here.
Yeah, they really took to it here, and
it caught on.
It caught on, and it's funny that it is the original sin of America, and lasted far longer than it was ever designed to.
Yeah.
When the founding fathers kind of made their various agreements for creating the Constitution, there was this idea that, well, it's going to last another 20 years or so.
Yeah. We'll peter it out.
Yeah.
We'll phase it out over time, and then it'll be fine.
Yeah, they thought it would be gone by 1800.
What they didn't realize, of course, was that free labor benefits people, not the laborers. But boy, those bosses sure did like it.
Yeah. So as you know, it didn't phase out in 1800.
Yeah.
And it took a major effort in the middle of the 19th century to make it go away.
Yeah.
And it didn't entirely, but we'll get to that.
Well, and so here's the thing. From a modern day perspective, from a now time perspective, you talk to a Christian about slavery, you're going to get of course it was wrong.
Yeah.
It was obviously wrong. Jesus is all about love.
Yeah.
That's not love.
Yeah.
So that's the current Christian perspective.
Not entirely, but yeah, there are actually Christians who still say, well, the slaves got to know the light of Christ.
Well,
and come to America. And some of them are actually kind of mainstream evangelicals.
Yeah.
Yeah, who say that, well, they'd still be in Africa. It's like, oh, well.
Like heathens.
Like
dancing around in not enough clothing.
Yeah, all that. So it was an institution that brought them to Christ, and therefore, now it is a minority opinion.
Yeah, but here's the thing: they're the ones that are right. Any Christian who says slavery's okay, they're the correct ones when it comes to their tradition, because that book of theirs,
yeah,
that's a pretty pro-slavery book,
straight up.
Just and boy, we're not even just talking about the Old Testament, which was that wackadoo time, when everybody had slaves. But no, the New Testament totally down with the slavery also.
It is true, and slavery was a very, very common. It was an everyday practice in the Roman Empire.
Yeah,
and had Jesus been bothered by it, he was not recorded of having said anything about it.
He had ample opportunity to decry it. He had plenty of unpopular views. He could have just added that to the list.
Yeah,
would have been fine. But no,
the Bible's long. He had plenty of column inches to talk about it.
Really, they would just give him as much as he wanted.
Yeah.
Paul, in his various and sundry epistles, though, made it clear that no, Christians are going to be totes down with the slavering.
Yeah.
Slavering. You know, when you slave, you're slavering. When you slaver.
Ooh.
Including in the first epistle of Peter, he said that, that's where you get the slaves obey your masters as to the Lord and not to men. Meaning, you're basically, you need to see your master as God,
as an extension of God's will. Yes.
So yeah, that's not nice. But makes it very clear that slavery is totally cool. He also there's the lovely story of him, Paul, returning Onesimus. I don't know how a biblical scholar would say that name. Who was a fugitive?
You said biblical scholar like that's a thing.
Oh, one who studies.
Yes,
the Bible. He returned Onesimus, who was a fugitive slave, back to Philemon. This is in the epistle to Philemon. But then asked Philemon to be nice to him. Yes, because he liked Onesimus.
Nailed it.
Got it.
Yeah, I like that. It's this insane dick move.
Right.
From one of the most important foundational characters in Christian everything.
Yes.
And to assuage his own guilt, maybe? He's like, hey, be cool to him, okay? You can still own him and all that.
Right. Obviously, put him to work against his will.
Yeah, beat him like a dog. Whatever you got to do.
But do it nicely.
Yeah.
Do it the way... Do it... Jesus would want you to be kind about it.
With a song in your heart. Yeah, so that is kind of... Well, and then the rest of the Bible, of course, mostly the Old Testament, is really nothing more than a guide to the care and feeding and selling and killing of slaves.
There are rules about slaves. You can take a slave that you captured in war.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Seems fair.
But you can't just kidnap somebody and enslave them. That would be rude.
Well, that's funny because that was kind of the whole deal.
That was entirely what they did
to the American model in
the colonial days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, let us fast forward to here from Bible times to here in the Great South.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. If you ever hear somebody say, and I'm sorry to our southern listeners, but if you ever hear somebody say the South will rise again, no, it won't. You want to know why? you don't get to own anybody anymore.
Yeah.
Free labor is not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
So, no. The thing that made you amazing was slaves.
Yeah. And a feudal social order that also kept down poor white people.
Right.
To now, not making a one-to-one comparison, but kept down poor white people to such an extent that they at least took comfort in their brutal lives that there was a station beneath them.
Right.
And when that station was taken away
Right.
By emancipation, they got pissed, and many of them remarkably still are.
Yeah.
I've spent quite a while in the South now, and I am amazed that that is actually a sentiment.
Very much so.
Yeah.
It is very and I think you may have hit on it. I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert in Southern psychology, but it does seem to me that like you need someone below you to shit on.
Yeah.
In order to not feel like the worst ever thing in the universe.
Yeah.
And apparently, now it's just racism, and it's not really pro-slavery as much as it is separatism or whatever. But yes, these people are still dogs or whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's pro-slavery. I don't think. I think if there are people who think we should bring that institution back, they're such a vanishingly tiny minority. They don't even merit a lot of mention. But you know what? I've underestimated America's racism before. I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to go to there. I'm going to say they might just be quiet about it to the public. Is there some recent event that makes you think that you miscalculated it?
Maybe.
So yeah, it's not. Of course, it's. I don't think it's pro-slavery. It is anti-equality. It's that the law cannot tell me that God's order of how the races work and where I fit into that universe, the law can't change that and shouldn't be allowed to, and I don't respect it.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny because going back to the Bible, people who study the Bible, I said it again. I know that you.
It's just funny words together. It's funny together.
Yes,
yeah.
Indeed. But there are those who are, atheists who are Bible scholars.
Yes, of course.
But yes, but those who are believers who are Bible scholars have for centuries used the Bible as their justification for enslaving those of a different race. Going back to Ham, Noah's son. There's a whole narrative about the curse of Ham. This is Genesis. We're talking the first book of the Bible.
That's right.
And they apparently they get pretty convoluted about it. The word Ham is very similar to the Hebrew word for hot, which is a cognate with an Egyptian word, Kem, meaning black.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That was quite a journey through linguistics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed. But as soon as somebody came up with that, it's like astrology.
Well,
they get to use that forever to say that black folks are the ones who get to be enslaved.
Well, listen, if he hadn't laughed at Noah, who was drunk and naked when he was walking backwards trying to cover him with a sheet, he wouldn't be black and we wouldn't have this problem.
Right?
Right?
It's this. You know what? It's one of the great stories of the Bible that I think is undertold, which is, yes, Ham walks in on his drunk dad lying there naked. This is his biggest sin.
Yeah.
His big sin is he saw his dad naked
and drunk and goofy
and left. I think he was passed out. I think his dad was passed out naked.
Yes.
He saw it.
And laughed.
I don't even think he laughed. Did he laugh?
He laughed.
And then he went and he told his brothers, hey, you better cover dad up.
Yeah.
His brothers back in so they don't see their dad naked.
That's right.
And then forever, Ham and his entire lineage is cursed to servitude of the other brothers.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Exactly. What's the sin?
On what planet is this the but now we get a justification for slavery?
Yeah.
On that basis, like, dude just walks in on his dad. Oh, shit, sorry, Dad. And that's it.
And Ham,
slaves forever.
And according to most readings, Ham was kind of a kid.
It was like, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, oh, there's my dad. Huh.
Yeah, exactly.
And
you walk
black
through the
people.
wrong door, and there's Dad's dingle.
Yeah,
I
and-
guess we're done.
and
I
then-
guess my lineage is screwed.
Right, and then he reproduced with himself, and more black people came out.
Yeah. I mean, his wife was probably the tannest.
No, there was no wives.
There were wives.
No, there was. He didn't have a wife.
he had a wife.
I don't think Ham had a wife.
Well, he had to have. I mean, I don't want to give you... I mean, I know that you're gay, so you don't necessarily understand the biology of procreation, but I think there has to be a girl.
What?
Yeah.
Well, we can agree to disagree.
Yes, indeed. The main point is that on this basis, on this solid grounding, this solid footing,
From so firm a foundation.
comes the idea that, oh, yeah, totally cool for us to enslave black people for, let me just check my watch, forever. For eternity, that's just fine.
Shall I read you some quotes from enthusiasts of slavery in the Old South?
I hope you do.
Yeah,
you
and
will.
see if you can spot their name-checking the Bible and or God. See if you can
Okay.
spot it.
I may not be able to.
It's pretty subtle. Slavery was established by decree of Almighty God. It is sanctioned in the Bible, in both Testaments, from Genesis to Revelation. It has existed in all ages, has been found among the people of the highest civilization, and in nations of the highest proficiency in the arts. One Jefferson Davis, President of the Confederate States of America.
Yeah. He was an important guy.
Here's
Boy,
another
he
one.
liked it.
There is not one verse in the Bible inhibiting slavery, but many regulating it. It is not, then, we conclude, immoral. Reverend Alexander Campbell.
Yeah.
Now we have the right of holding slaves is clearly established in the Holy Scriptures, both by precedent and example. The Reverend Furman D.D., Baptist of South Carolina.
Can I just be clear on something? These fellas, in their interpretation of the Bible, are correct.
They are correct.
They are absolutely the correct guys on the matter of what the Bible has to say about slavery.
In fact, here is a biblical scholar who is actually a religious person speaking in this century.
Yeah.
If we apply sola scriptura to slavery, I'm afraid the abolitionists are on relatively weak ground. Nowhere is slavery in the Bible lambasted as an oppressive or evil institution. That
Right.
was Von Rost of the United Church of Canada.
Correct.
And he is correct. And it is... I am not happy to shit on abolitionists because
No.
they were truly doing the good work. But they biblically
The
didn't really
Bible-
have a lot of room.
We'll be clear. While these guys are correct about the Bible is incorrect about slavery. I think
Yes.
from a human perspective, and I don't know about you, Mark, but I personally count myself among their number, the humans.
Let's go with it.
From the human perspective, no, it's not okay.
No.
Now, let's be clear. There were definitely Christians who and without Christian abolitionists, we wouldn't have gotten abolishment of slavery.
No, the Quakers were never on the wrong side of that issue,
Right.
And stood up for it, and oftentimes paid a fairly great price for it. So bully for all the good folk, Christians or otherwise, that worked against it.
And I'm going to plug my own family, my own family tree, because there was one Mr. Henry Ward Beecher, and several of his and also several of his siblings, including one Miss Harriet Beecher Stowe, who were instrumental in the abolitionist movement of these United States. Henry Ward, whom nobody's heard of, but we all should have, really. He was absolutely key. The most popular orator of his time. This Lincoln called him such. And he was a Congregationalist preacher, I believe, but wrote many pieces about abolition. Came down pretty fiery by the end there. He would do things like in his congregation, which was in Brooklyn, New York. He would hold mock slave auctions to free slaves. So he would raise money and then use that money to free slaves. His church was also a stop on the Underground Railroad.
Oh, so he would hold mock slave auctions as kind of agitprop to
the money
shock
that
people?
the money that was raised.
Yeah.
it was a gimmick.
Yeah.
But the money that was raised from it was to free slaves, so people would donate
To buy their freedom, yeah.
to buy their freedom.
Yeah.
He also contributed in this way. He raised funds to send Sharps rifles to abolitionist forces to the Union.
Oh, wow.
Which then became known as Beecher's Bibles.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool.
He said that a weapon would do more good than 100 Bibles. He's right.
Yeah.
Well, in that sense.
Anything useful will do more.
Right. Yeah.
You know, just
a hammer.
A K-cup Keurig coffee maker
Sure.
will make you a nice espresso.
A citrus juicer
yeah.
would be much more effective than a Bible.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Beecher's Bibles were guns.
That's amazing.
And just to top it all off, me being a Beecher, I'm gonna burst some buttons here on this one because we're proud of our heritage.
You swell with pride. I'll watch it happen.
Oh, you can see the swelling too, huh?
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
Well,
that.
you should cross your legs when you're in a skirt that short.
I'll
sitting
cover
right
it up.
across from
I'll
you.
cover it up.
Yeah.
But he also, as the war, the Civil War was ending, the war between the states,
Yes.
was ending. One Mr. Abraham Lincoln, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he was president at the time. Said,
And for a hot minute after.
and for just a couple minutes
Yeah.
after, he said that he sent Henry Ward Beecher to Fort Sumter, South Carolina, to give the final speech, the speech ending the war, the official end of the war speech, which apparently is a very important thing at the time. Here's the quote. He said, "We had better send Beecher down to deliver the address on the occasion of raising the flag, because if it had not been for Beecher, there would have been no flag to raise."
Wow.
Now, here's the thing.
Wow.
Old Henry Ward was a preacher and was making the Christian argument that it's not nice. He made it more eloquently than that. But slavery, he said, was a bad thing and cruel and against God. But we must be clear, he was wrong.
He was wrong.
In Christian terms, he's wrong.
But if that's wrong, I don't want to be right.
No, and I don't want to. And if that's Christian, if owning folks is Christian, and it is,
Count me out.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to say no.
Yeah.
I'm afraid.
Well, that's an amazing and rightly proud family history. That's very cool.
Yeah, his sister wrote. Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote "Uncle Tom's Cabin," which again, President Lincoln was the one who called that She called her the little woman that started the big war. So the Beecher family, pretty instrumental.
The Civil War is your fault.
It's my fault. Yes, indeed. All of the graves that we visited of Civil War veterans.
Yeah.
You can blame me.
You must feel a little something about that.
I take full credit, or blame for that.
Well, we should try to get you to Fort Sumter while you're down here.
Yeah, I'd like to visit that.
Yeah, we might make a run for it.
We'll see. So anyway, it's just one of those things. As I look around this town, and it is a charming place to visit. It is interesting to note everything down here that was great. The entire economy of this place was centered. It was absolutely vital to own people in order to create this.
The engine of the economy was human misery.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be forgotten.
Indeed not. Indeed not.
Like old times here, which are not forgotten.
Indeed. An old acquaintance should not be forgot.
I think that's a different place, but
okay.
Yeah, we'll weave it in.
Sure, whatever.
We'll make it work. So, yeah, it's troubling and terrible, and I think it's critically important to always remember that this is a ghastly part of our story.
I wanted to also, we're kind of wrapping up, but there was another part that I just remembered I wanted to talk about, which is the fact that in this town there are two different churches claiming to be the oldest black Christian church in North America.
Yeah, the first Baptist First African Church.
The First African Baptist Church
Yeah.
is the one probably with the strongest claim.
Yeah, we saw their van.
We did.
Yeah,
we did indeed.
And it looked like a pretty old van.
So clearly they have it down.
Huh.
Oh, you are funny, you.
Like
anyway,
an 84 Dodge,
Right, yeah. The point is that slaves, African slaves, were kind of made to take on this religion. Strangely, the religion that the very religion that sanctioned their slavery
Yeah.
was the one that they were proselytized about. About.
Yeah.
Put the prepositions in whatever order you need to.
Proselytizing seems like a very nice word.
Well, no, missionaries were sent to slaves, as well as, like, they were forced to go to church. But eventually they started believing it, which is amazing to me. Like, these people eventually started to take on these traditions. And, as generations passed, the more they went to these black churches, the more they actually started to believe it, the more they started to praise like their white, gentrified friends. Of course, they added in what makes black church better, and demonstrably, black church is better than white church. Mm-hmm. If you are a Christian and you're not going to black church, you're an idiot. I don't care what color you are. That's just stupidity, because it's better. It's more fun.
Yeah.
But what makes it better is that they did inject some of their African traditions into it. They actually would bring along the much more boisterous, much more fun sensibilities of the African religious traditions. And they used to use their crosses in the same ways that they would use their talismans, from their traditional religion back in Africa. But eventually, you have to look at current black Christians and say, what the fuck are you doing?
Logically, yes. Logically, I couldn't imagine.
I mean, you and I had a terrifying near miss just the other day as we were walking through downtown Savannah, as we were sitting in one of the squares, one of the many squares, and we almost got preached at by Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, it was a close fucking call, man.
Black Jehovah's Witnesses walking around smiling and handing out pamphlets.
You saw the terror in my eyes when those nice old church ladies walked around.
Oh, they were so delightful. I kind of wished they came and talked
I know
to
they
us.
were really cool.
They
but
looked really fun.
They were still J-dubs.
But they're J-dubs, and to some extent, I tweeted this when I went recently to Mormon General Conference just to look around. Mm-hmm. I saw a few black folks, and I thought, black Mormons,
what are you doing?
Are sad. Yeah. They're one of the saddest things, because Mormons rejected them until the 1900s and 70s, the late 1970s.
Yeah, so let's say 113 years after the Civil War.
Right.
The blacks were still, the Mormons were still kind of fighting it.
Right. They were still
on the southern side.
More black. You were allowed to be black and Mormon, but you couldn't go through the temple. The black men couldn't get the priesthood.
Yeah, you could join the country club and pay the greens fee. You just couldn't golf.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It
was a sweet arrangement.
Shocking. It took until 78, 79, something like that before they allowed them.
78.
Before they gave them that so generous dispensation to
78. 10 years after Martin Luther King was killed and shocked the conscience of a nation, the Mormons held on.
The Mormons were dragged, fingernails scraping along the floor,
kind of by the IRS,
into
revelation,
into God telling them, "Oh, it's okay now." But now that I think about it, here in the South, it's more removed in time, but black Christians are just as baffling to me as black Mormons.
Well, I think
because the history is just as shameful.
Oh, more
shameful.
More shameful. The Mormons never did anything vis-a-vis black people this evil.
I mean, they made Utah a slave state for whatever that was worth.
Again, for a hot minute. And, and I think it speaks to the societal disruption that slavery caused. That imagine you're pulled from your home, you're pulled from your country, you're thrown in the belly of this fucking thing, dragged across the ocean. Your family is sold. You learn a new language. The insanity of that.
You're whipped into doing work that you have not agreed to do.
Yeah, in a country you didn't know existed.
For food and shelter, but like no life whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah.
Your children can be sold. Your
You
spouse.
are chattel.
Your chattel. Your property. And so I think it's that disruption that broke the societies that they came from, that were probably vibrant, strong societies.
Yeah.
And so the only safe space, the only respite they were given was maybe church on Sundays.
Yeah.
So I just think you cling to what you have.
Yeah.
You cling to what you're allowed, and that was what they were allowed.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So it's echoes of it still. It's the Baptist, the Black Baptist churches, and for all the good they do, I'm sure they do good. It's just this echo that continues.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's be real here. Black folks in the United States still need safe space.
Yeah. Now again,
We're to that point. I mean, there was never a tremendously safe time period for black people in the United States.
no. In fact, well, that's not true. Donald Trump said they've never had it so bad.
So bad?
He did. He said blacks have never had it so bad as they do now.
Oh dear. Oh, okay. So it used to be better.
Student of history.
So lucky you, black folks. But yeah, I mean, I don't begrudge them any safe space. So if going to black church makes them feel, although lately there have been a rash of attacks on black churches. So welcome to that.
Yeah.
Welcome to America. We like racism here.
Yeah. History. It ain't over yet.
Nope. We're still working on that.
Yep.
Anyway, if you guys have anything to add to this really uplifting conversation, I think you can. You can write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com, or go to the you can call in. We sure love to hear your voice. Call in at 424-666-8442. That's 666-TGIA. Aren't we clever with that?
I'm just figuring it out. Yeah.
You caught on.
Yeah, it's a devil number.
It's a devil number.
And
then TGIA stands for the name of our podcast. So
amazing.
It's super easy to remember.
It's
all you have to remember is that
onion
424.
of meaning.
Yeah. You strip away the layers,
Yeah.
and then you've got nothing because you just stripped away the layers.
There's only 7 numbers.
Right.
Well, 9, 10.
Whatever. Who cares about the digits? Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and learn what's happening in the world. And also, you can go to Facebook, and then you go to the search function on that Facebook page, and you can find the members only lounge, which is a closed group, and nobody will know what it is, and you can have support and friendship, like actual friendship. I have multiple stories from listeners of people making friends, even in other countries, through the members only lounge.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's really true.
That's super cool.
Like one girl, she is now dear friends with someone in Norway who is a listener. Like, this is a girl from Idaho. She goes to Norway. She meets somebody. They're friends. This is what's happening in the members only lounge.
You are creating community.
I am.
Yeah.
And then I will rule them all.
You'll rule them all. That's the goal.
That is the goal.
People.
I am your Lord and Master now. Anyway, hey, thanks to Mackenzie for her hard work on the Facebook page. And thanks to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music. It's great. And thank you, dear listener. Oh, and thank you, Mark, for filling in here, for dragging me down to this godforsaken, lovely climate, away from the snowstorms of Utah. So that I can just participate in the beauty that is here.
Well, thank you for dragging the equipment all the way down here for me to sit in with you.
Right, and thanks for doing this show. That's amazing of you. And thank you, dear listener, for tuning in. We sure do like it when you do.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.